Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Cointelegraph's live AMA shows. On today's episode, we'll be talking about video games, exciting opportunities for eSports fans and experienced gamers, and the Moxie project, which is democratizing gaming through the power of blockchain and community. So, stay tuned to learn more and ask your questions. I'm your host, Giovanni. We are privileged to welcome very special guests today. So, let me introduce them. Perhaps someone in our audience remembers the icon Atari game consoles with Space Invaders, Pac-Man, E.T., the Extraterrestrial, or had the chance to play an arcade tennis simulator called Pong. If you're one of them, let us know in the comments. So, the man behind all those innovations, Chief Knowledge Officer at Moxie, a video game industry legend, father of electronic gaming, inductee into the Video Game Hall of Fame, who has founded and developed more than a dozen successful companies that in one way or another combine entertainment and cutting-edge technology, is here with us today. Please welcome Nolan Bushnell. Nolan, how are you doing today?
So great to be here. First of all, I'm a gamer. I love games, and when Moxie proposed to use blockchain and smart contracts as a way to facilitate gaming gameplay in a competitive space, I just had to be a part of it.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a lot about it today. Let me just introduce our second guest, which is Matt deFouw, CEO and founder of Moxie, a blockchain and technology visionary with over 20 years of proven leadership, with previous roles as CTO of Fourth IR and country head for Trestle Group. Matt has led transformative innovation. So, welcome to Cointelegraph's AMA. Matt, how are you doing today?
Oh, excellent. We have our Battle of the Influencers event right after this, so it's going to be a very busy day for me and Nolan.
Well, it's going to be long because we're going to be off to Vegas tonight, and we're going to be rocking over there too. So this whole weekend is going to be explosive.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, I just wanna before we get started, before we get into the conversation with you guys, I just wanna remind our dear listeners to like the tweet with our AMA, share it with your friends, and also this is an interactive show, so don't forget to write your questions in the comment sections in Twitter or on YouTube, and we'll answer them during the live session. So before we get started, I just would like to show a quick video introducing Moxie. Let's play it. Okay, Nolan and Matt, we can get started with the questions. So let's first start with the basics about Moxie. What is Moxie about? So as far as I understand, it's not just another gaming platform. Can you tell us more about it and what kind of gaps that exist in the video game industry, or does it fill? Maybe
For sure.
yeah, go ahead.
Moxie is esports for all. It's really that simple. Moxie's built an ecosystem that any game can add rewards and compelling esports content so that players can engage in competitive gameplay and win real rewards, not skins, not dances. We don't do NFTs. We don't do any of that. These are skill-based prize pool based competitions where you win Moxie, the global gaming token, which you can turn into whatever you want after that. So Moxy's eSports for all. We're democratizing eSports.
And more than that, we have a system where we think we're going to end up with hundreds of games on the platform. And, not everybody likes every game. And it turns out that there are a whole bunch of different games that are interesting. Like I like to play Go, I like to play chess. I'm old enough that if I'm in a first-person shooter, I'm first to die. And so the turn-based stuff's fun for me. Younger people they like first-person shooters, but I think that we're going to have a little bit of something for everybody.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I would like just to know, how did you come up with the idea of creating Moxie? So I know that you both have a background in the same field of gaming. So how did your previous experience help you to shape this idea?
Well, I met Nolan's business partner, Larry Siegel. He was the president of Atari for a while too. How long did you know Larry for? 42 years, something like that?
50.
Yeah. So they've known each other for a while. I met Larry in Zug, Switzerland, as part of another project in 2017. And Larry I didn't know he was a game guy. And we went out for dinner and he's like, I was a video game guy forever. I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. I love video games. It was one of those things where my parents told me, you're going to waste your time. You're never going to make anything out of video games. So I was like, oh my goodness, here's the chance. Larry had said that video games and blockchain is like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
So we decided, how are we going to do this? But looking at the technical landscape at the time, it just wasn't ready. There was smart contracts were just coming out on Ethereum. Everything was just not ready yet. So in 2020, it started to getting there. Dapper Labs was building Flow. 2021, I phoned Larry. I said, hey, we're ready now. Let's do this esports thing. Let's get it so that every game can have real rewards, because you can't do that without blockchain. How do you have a guy with Hong Kong dollars playing someone in British pounds, playing someone in US dollars, and make it all work and make the payouts automatic and everything else? How do you do that? Only blockchain does that, right? So it was ready, and Larry said, I got to call Nolan. Nolan will love this. And then I had my first call with Nolan, and Nolan loved it, luckily.
Well, I get fascinated with things. And when blockchain came along, I thought, okay, do I believe that there's going to be a seamless, robust transfer of value over the internet? Yeah. Does blockchain do that? And I came to the conclusion, yeah, it does. And then I learned about smart contracts, and I said, that is powerful. When you have self-actualizing and self-executing pieces of software based on results, that's powerful. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's really powerful.
Totally agree.
Simple and powerful are good adjectives describing blockchain technology. So I just would like to know about this event that you are going to launch in an hour from now, if I'm not mistaken. So it's an online competition between internet influencers and celebrities, the battle of the influencers. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so it's an online Moxy first. So you're going to play Moxy Games for Moxy in an esports style competition. So you're going to be playing multiple games, all using Moxy, the global gaming token. So the single point of value for all of that. And when you're out of Moxy, you're out. So we've got a bunch of guys like Rampage Jackson and ladies like Yassi that are going to be playing against each other, and it's going to be really fun. And it is literally a beehive of activity outside that door over there. We had to close the door because it's so loud. There's like 50 people running around getting everything ready for us to launch here in about an hour.
I love chaos.
I do too. I really do too. It's fun.
And I just would like to know more about the platforms, the games that are available on Moxie. Can you maybe go through some of the main things on this?
For sure. So right now, these games are proof of concept games. They're not like It's not Fortnite. It's not CS:GO. It's not League of Legends. We'll get there for sure, but we're not going to get there unless we can show large publishers and large developers that Moxie is real. It works. It's not a concept. It's not something that's coming later. Moxie's here right now. We've done 4 seasons of beta where we worked out all the kinks and all the bugs. We've got games that work on Android, games that work on iOS, games that work on Mac, games that work on PC, games that work on Epic. So Moxie is completely cross-platform. It will work for web-based games. It will work for console-based games. So your favorite game, that's why our hashtag is Moxie this game, because we want to have gamers go out there and say, hey, look, we love skins, we love dances, we love DLCs, but if we could play our favorite game and actually turn it into real rewards for ourselves, that's really compelling. Right now, you got 540 million people watching esports. You've had the marketing machine push esports as the future for the last 5 or 6 years on the gaming industry with no outcome. Now there's an outcome. Moxie is esports for any game. So,
yeah, and in fact, even esports right now, it's kind of a walled garden based on the publisher of a particular game. And I feel like that's not democratization of a sport that I love. And, you know, the games that we're showing you are actually a fraction of the games we have that we just haven't put up yet because, quite frankly, we haven't gotten quite adapted yet. But it's at the same time, the power of different games, each game kind of brings a little bit of their clientele with them, their fan base, and so it's just we don't have to be created in a miracle. You know, I'm willing to take one step at a time.
Yep. Crawl, walk, run.
Yeah.
That's one of our mottos inside. Crawl, walk, run. Because if we can prove to the industry and prove to the publishers that Moxie is the place they need to be, and the gamers are like, I want real rewards now, that's how we're going to do it. Just one foot in front of the other. Proof, proof, proof. No magic, no promises, just proof.
Yeah,
sounds like a solid approach.
No, go ahead.
No, I just want to remind our listeners, especially those who just tune in, that I just want to remind our audience that we are here with the legendary Nolan Bushnell and Matt deFouw to discuss the current state of esports and the Moxie platform that will be bringing on-demand esports to the mainstream. So please ask your questions in the comment section. We're gonna ask Matt and Nolan to answer those questions. So just going back to the conversation, I just want to know, are Moxy Games and events oriented towards experienced gamers, or can those just entering as esports participate as well?
Anyone. When we say Moxie's esports for all, we mean esports for all. It's not just the pros, it's the Joes. We're going to have it for casual mobile games. It's going to have it for game modes for single player high score. There's going to be FPSs. There's going to be MOBAs. There's going to be any game that you like to play, whether it's the most simple casual all the way to the most hardcore 4-hour raids. There'll be a Moxie mode for that. The Moxie Forge, we call it, is our extensible stack. It's a sandbox for esports and rewards. So any game mode, from the largest big season ladder all the way down to a simple 1v1, it's totally extensible.
And you know, we're going to put on various hoo-haws along the way too, just because we can. and the one of the things that sometimes people don't understand is this is really for adults, primarily because we have to KYC because the laws about challenging and rewards are different in different jurisdictions. So we need to know kind of where you are and who you are and how old you are. And, you know, it's that's the only thing. So if you're a 9-year-old, sorry, you're going to have to wait a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were talking about rewards, so I want to dive a little deeper into this. So, can you tell us more about the benefits that are on the table for players? So, why should they play on the Moxie platform and join the Moxie community?
Moxie is the global gaming token. So what you get is a utility token that holds real value. So when you win a Moxie match and you win your rewards in Moxie, you can take that and do things with it. You can off ramp. You can do a lot of things to have real value out of that, not just win some ethereal thing. It's you're winning a real reward that you can cash out, so to speak, to get some actual value from.
And I guess in the simplest place, you can, when you're playing somebody, you pound your chest and you say, I am going to bet you 10 mocks that I'm going to beat you in this game. That's my challenge. I'm challenging you. And then the other person says, oh, okay, you're on. So you play the game. The winner executes the smart contract on the mocks, and the winner gets the value in their wallet. It's typical blockchain.
It's all totally transparent to the user. It's all totally automated. Nobody has to push a button. Nobody has to think. Nobody has to go somewhere and sign something. It's one of the reasons we chose Flow blockchain, because we were able to do that totally transparent to the user. And we keep the user inside the game. There's no alt tabbing out. There's no going to some other app. There's no going to a website. Moxie lives in the UI UX of your favorite game. So the publisher implements Moxie Forge into their game, and boom, it's a seamless experience. Just link your Moxie account like you would a Steam or Epic account, and away you go.
And we've already had attempts at hacking, and so far we've been good at all that, and we've built in a lot of security into this platform. In fact, it's one of those hidden things that cost us a lot of money.
And time, my goodness.
And time.
Oh, my goodness.
But I think it's pretty good right now.
It is, yeah. That's the thing we spent the most amount of money and time on, is security, compliance, and legal.
Yeah, I think that security is definitely an important aspect to invest in, together with, as you said, the seamlessness of user experience. So I just want to clarify one thing, because apparently Moxie is not just for gamers. How can game developers, publishers, game studios participate in Moxie?
That's the best part. So this is a brand new revenue source for them that didn't exist before. Moxie, let's say the prize pool was 100 mocks. We give 6 mocks to the developer. So 6% goes straight back to the publisher/developer. So just like when Angry Birds came out, the freemium model came out, and people were like, "What? You're giving away this model, this game for free? You're an idiot. That's not how we do this. We sell games, and people pay money for games. Why is this game free?" And then they were like, "Oh, well, we'll have all this extra little content for 50 cents here and 25 cents there, and $1 here." And boom, Angry Birds made $1 billion in a quarter, and people were like, "How can we make our game free? Let's make our game free. Why don't we have a free game?" So yeah, I think Moxie is going to be like that when they see the revenue generation potential for prize pool revenue, because now it's engaging. Right? When you have the ability to earn something that's tangible based on your own skill, and you get the bragging rights of, "I just won. I beat this guy right here." Right? That's a totally different experience.
You'll never beat me.
Especially if it's a go, I'll never beat you. That's for sure.
Well, I'm embarrassed to say that I have never spent $100 on any video game ever. I downloaded a free play on my cell phone, and I've spent over $100 on that thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so embarrassed. I'm not going to tell you what game it is, because it's a stupid game.
No, it works. It works. It's very engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you have a token, a native token called Moxie. So can you explain us more about what role this token plays in your ecosystem and in general, like the Moxie blockchain? What role do they play in the Moxie ecosystem?
So Moxie, the token, is the single store of value within the ecosystem. Because, like I was saying before, how do you have the guy with Hong Kong dollars play the guy with British pounds versus euros versus American dollars all at the same time, all happen seamlessly in milliseconds, settled transaction, everything's transparent. It has to be blockchain. So Moxie's built on Flow. When we looked at every possible blockchain out there at the time, Flow was the only blockchain. I know it doesn't have the greatest liquidity or the greatest exchange support, but Moxie's not like, we're not Pepe or Moonboy. This is real. We are here using blockchain as it's supposed to be used for real utility and a store of value. So all of the things that degens want will come, obviously. But for us, we need something that's going to have the smart contract infrastructure that just allows completely transparent, a Web 2 experience for your grandmother. You don't have to like go to crypto university to play this. You don't have to go and learn how to use Uniswap and MetaMask and everything else just to play a game. As soon as you do that, the developers and publishers will be like, no, sorry guys, this is way too much. Like, we have a hard time getting people to put a credit card into our games. We're not going to take them to crypto university for Moxie first. So sorry. We had to make this completely Web 2. Like, if you can use Facebook and Gmail and stuff, you can use Moxie. So Flow blockchain accomplished that for us. And then, so Moxie token is just the single store of value within our ecosystem and powers all the smart contracts and allows people to win real prizes.
Yeah, and I wanted to dive a bit deeper into this topic about the tokenomics of Moxie because sometimes we see that projects have a problem with excessive centralization, like token ownership is excessively centralized. So how do you make it harder for how do you make it harder to centralize token ownership in your project?
So we have linear daily release. We have very large and long locking on any kind of our token round from before. Team does not have a very large percentage. It's not like Ripple where one guy has 90%. You know what I mean? I don't have a very large token percentage because for us this is about the very long term. We aren't playing all the crazy yield farm games and staking and all that stuff. We are a single point of token where you can come in just like this guy invented Chuck E. Cheese, so he's actually the OG utility token guy right here. Because if any of you remember, you'd go down to Chuck E. Cheese, you'd give them your $20, and they'd give you a little cup of tokens. You take that utility token, you put it in the game, and now you're playing the game. So we've essentially got that back with Moxie, but now instead of winning a yo-yo or a lollipop, you can win real money.
Well, you know, when we were first buying tokens for Chuck E. Cheese, we were paying 6 cents a token.
Oh my goodness.
So, like, you know, and Moxie is right now about 6 cents.
Yeah.
You know, so there's, you know, it comes back. You know, I shouldn't do this, but there was a guy in New York that actually was selling Chuck E. Cheese tokens as Bitcoin.
Oh, that's funny.
Awesome. And yeah, before we move on to the next round of questions, I just have a reminder for our audience again. So for those who are tuning in, we are talking with Nolan Bushnell and deFouw about Moxie, which is an online platform that brings esports to the world with the power of blockchain and community. So if you have any questions, just don't hesitate to write them in the comment sections. And we're gonna ask those questions at the end of the AMA to our guests. So yeah, let's move on and talking about regulation. So how does Moxie handle regulatory requirements?
So this is a really important thing for us. The regulatory side of Moxie is probably the most important thing for us because, like, having a developer or a publisher trust us with their player base, trust us with their game, And in a situation where it's actual real rewards, like this is real value. We're not talking skins and dances. We're talking you can turn this into real reward. We've got someone in the studio using this laptop. So they're trying to set it up for the event. As you can see behind us, this is going to be one of our gaming stations. So we'll have Yassi in here doing that. Oh, let me just.
We got stuff coming up.
Yeah, we got stuff. If you could, do you want to go tell them, Nolan, that someone's on this laptop?
Yeah.
Yeah, just go tell them because someone's using this laptop
Yeah.
now. Yeah, so for us, regulatory is so important because you've seen how people act online. Yeah, sorry, no one's out there just telling these guys to get off this laptop.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, you can.
so
You were
we
saying about
require everyone
regulation.
to KYC because as you know, how everyone acts online is a totally different thing than how you act in real life. You can see the biggest, most vitriol, toxic troll in the world behind a keyboard and mouse, and he'll be like, "Hello, sir, nice to meet you," in real life. But boy, the things that guy will say when he's behind his behind his computer screen in the quiet of his own home with the gamer tag like "Super Awesome Guy 89," right? Um, we have full KYC upfront. A lot of people don't like it, but we're not going to be able to get these publishers. If you want to have a Fortnite or a League of Legends or a CSGO on Moxie, the only way that is ever going to work is by having Nolan Bushnell play Matt deFouw, and everybody knows this really is the guy and this really is the guy. So that if you're doing some weird stuff and running some bots, and we'll know who you are. And that's not going to fly. It works when you're on Epic and you can go best gamer in the world 22 at gmail.com, cheat, get shut down, and then 20 minutes later start up best gamer in the world 23 at gmail.com and do it again on a VPN. That doesn't work with Moxie because these are real rewards. And we're super, super, super careful about protecting you, the Moxie Club member, that you have a rewarding experience. That if you're going to put your hard-earned money into a Moxie prize pool, that what you're doing actually will yield some results for you that are good and fair. We're protecting the publisher to make sure that their client, their gamer, is treated like a king or queen, and making sure that the whole industry knows and trusts Moxie. That when we say people in this match should be here, they should be there in terms of I'm the right age, I'm in the right jurisdiction, I'm doing all the right things. So it's just a trust thing, just like blockchain. Trust, right? We have to do that on the people side because we already got the money side handled with the blockchain technology, but we're going to do that on the people side with the people that should be there are there.
Of course. And maybe now you could tell us more about the people that are behind Moxie. So the team that makes up the project. So who are the key members? What background do they have?
Well, we got this guy, and he's in it every day. That's the thing. Everyone always asks me when I talk. I'm like, so how much are you paying these guys to just lend them your name? I'm like, no, we're not doing that. They're literally there every day. They're like, no, they're not. And they are. So we've got Nolan. We've got Larry Siegel, ex-president of Atari and SVP at Sega. We have Stuart Bell, the guy who hired Sid Meier to build Civilizations. We've got Tony Bickley as our chief product officer, who did everything from Street Fighter 2 to all the European versions of Skyrim. We've got Frank Ballou from Nintendo. We've got game people. We've also got really strong internet people like Dr. Steve Crocker, who is one of the amazing IEEE guys from back in the day who really wrote IPv4. If you go look them up, it's amazing. We've got guys like Duma Wenchuk, who did Assassin's Creed. We've got Brian Weissman from Grinding Gear, who did Path of Exile. We've got a ton of genres, all the way from the first games, Pong, all the way to the most recent games. And just knowing the industry is really key for Moxie. So
We also have what we call the no asshole rule. So everybody that we have in the company, I like. You know, you go to dinner and you have a good time, and we don't have a single asshole.
which is rare.
except maybe me a little bit. I'm
I
getting a little
don't think
cranky.
so. I don't think so. It's awesome. We've had several like multi-hour, big, huge team meetings, and we go and we churn and churn and churn and churn and churn through all these things. And then Nolan's like, "Well, I was thinking this, this, and this," and we're like, "Oh my god, we just talked for 2.5 hours. Why didn't we just ask him from the beginning?" Because everything we talked about for 2 to 3 hours completely invalidated, but the this, and this was actually the right thing to do. That's where we came with the whole eSports for all. We were like, we should do this Web3 thing, and we should do all these cool things. And Nolan's like, eSports, real rewards, simple, make it fun, make it fun.
Yeah, I mean,
And
talking to you guys makes me want to be part of your team. It seems like a fun team to work with.
We have a lot.
well, I think you
So
passed the. Seemed like you passed the no asshole test.
so yeah, I just want to talk a little bit more about the future now. So as we move on towards the end of the AMA, I just want to ask you, what is your big vision for Moxie in the next 3 to 5 years, and what kind of impact do you want it to have on esports?
Games, 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 players, players, players. That's our focus right now. Honestly, more games, more players. And if you want to know on the technical side, there's a lot of limitations to the current L1s out there, and the gaming industry, video game industry, we should clarify that. Video game industry deserves its own L1 that is specifically tailored to the needs of the video game industry. So I think we might do that in partnership with some of the largest publishers out there, so that it's their blockchain for their industry, and Moxie can be the ecosystem and shepherd like we are on the esports side, because we're not a publisher. We don't want to do our own games. We don't want to be there. Just like Epic or Sony needs a credit card processor or a bank, they need Moxie to help them with their esports angle. So that's where we want to be.
And when you have the ability to have a monetary challenge, the type of game sometimes that becomes very important changes.
Yeah.
Because, playing for funsies is one thing. Playing when you've got skin in the game, that's a whole nother ball game. And so I like to say, there's a lot of very complex and elaborate and wonderful chess pieces that have been designed. But in tournaments, black and white wooden pieces that were basically designed 300 years ago, 400 years ago. And so I think that a lot of the games are going to have that same construct. Simple, simple, simple. And because now you don't want any ambiguity, because you have something writing on it. And so I actually think we're going to be surprised at the direction and what is popular a year from now.
I agree.
Yeah, and as a closing question, I would like just to understand your view on the current state of the video game industry and esports. So, what, according to you, are the main problems affecting the video game industry and esports at the moment, and how blockchain and crypto can help solve those problems?
Well, I think, to me, I feel like we've got into a little bit of a rut. If you really look at the major games, they're basically derivatives of things that were done 20 years ago, and so we haven't seen a breakout innovation for a while. Like, I consider Tetris to have been a breakout innovation. It was a game that was very, very different than things before. But I'm always looking for a breakout innovation that changes everything. I'm looking forward to a little bit more on some of the VR stuff, and the new Apple AR VR headset looks amazing. I haven't played with one yet. But I think that games that have physicality along with cerebralness, if you would. Um, I'm looking forward to some things like that. Um, I also think that the very existence of blockchain can allow for some things that merge. I mean, there's a lot of innovation going on in the board game business right now. And I think a lot of that is going to kind of bleed into the video game side.
Cool. Um, yeah, let's move on to the questions from the audience, because we have a couple of questions from the viewers who are super excited about Moxie. I can see a lot of questions, a lot of reactions, so this is great. I would say I see indie fans asked, what are the advantages of Moxie to make me interested in buying and even holding for the long term? He means the token, I think.
So the global gaming token Moxie, you'll be able to use that for engaging in your favorite content, joining our events, joining our tournaments, joining online gameplay ad hoc or formalized events. So as you see more gamers and more games come on, I think we all know what happens with tokens.
But I think that you would be ill-advised to think of this token as a security that's going to go up in value. We really actually don't want it to. We want it to just be a utility token that you can wager with. It may change in value a little bit, but not much. So if you're saying you want to buy a bunch so that it can go up, I think that would really be a dumb idea.
I think our lawyer will be very happy with you with that. No, we're as you know, we are a utility token 100%. We're very the Ripple decision lately. It definitely helps all the way around. Now that token value is not going to dictate whether something is a security or not, that's going to definitely help everything now that we can list on exchanges freely without having to go and hope that someone in the ecosystem lists for us, and all the things that were happening in the industry for the last couple of years. That Ripple decision definitely made everything a lot more clear for people like Moxie and other people in the space, that they can freely operate and run a business and know that they're going to be safe from this very scary letter that they think is coming at some point. For us, Moxie's overall value only increases by number of games, number of gamers, and number of token holders. So, very simple answer. It's going to be really great long term for everyone in the ecosystem.
Yeah, that decision, Ripple decision, was definitely a landmark one for like relieving for many projects around the world. So yeah, I think we have time for one last question from the audience. How do you see the project in about 5 years? Lemon UGU asks.
For me, I see it as the biggest games and the most number of players. You look at something like League of Legends LCS, we could be completely automating that entire process on the payments and the laddering and the season and everything for large games. So they can take that part, just take it off their plate. Everything is totally transparent. It's all on chain. We can see who played who, when, and what the outcomes were. You're going to see an entirely different methodology of play come out of Moxie. Plus, you're going to see people on streaming services be able to monetize their communities. Because now with Moxie, we could have either advertiser-based or like a Twitch streamer, like a Mr. Beast or someone like that, say, hey, join the $10 million pool, and I'm putting it all together. And then Moxie just automates that entire process for them. Their players don't need to actually put anything into the prize pool. The prize pool can be externally funded from an advertiser or the streamer themselves. So you're going to see really interesting content that's able to be monetized now, where it wasn't before. Before it was monetized by just YouTube or Twitch or whatever yourself. But now you can have those influencers or streamers collect monetization because they are collecting a piece of the prize pool by engaging their communities. So you're going to see really interesting content coming out over the next little while.
When you go into the
no.
future, the stuff that I want is I've always wanted to have a game of capture the flags in which you have the East Coast against the West Coast. And everybody has to put in 10 mocks to play, and there's 1 million people playing. That is a giggle to me. So that every Saturday night at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, Pacific, and 8 o'clock time, Atlantic, you really want to have all those things happen. And then we have the USA against Europe. And then we have the USA against Europe, Asia. And I just think that when you have that kind of stuff with mocks on the line, I just think it becomes a world phenomenon, because if you got 1 million people doing something, or 2 million, then all of a sudden, is Twitch going to follow it with an eye in the sky, a helicopter flying over the battlefield, it's just, I feel like a great big hoo-ha can be enabled by this system. And so all of a sudden, there was a time in the early days of television where the streets would be bare because everybody was watching a particular show.
Yeah.
I want to recapture that with the gaming environment, in which all of a sudden the bar is empty because everybody's getting part of that thing. So that's my big dream. Is it going to happen? I think so. Some part of it.
IYKYK.
That sounds like a great vision for the future, and a great way to close up this AMA session. So, yeah, I just want to thank both of you, Nolan and Matt, for coming on our show. It was incredibly interesting and insightful and also fun. So thanks a lot for coming on our show. I also would like to ask you guys to share with our audience how they can get in touch with you to know more about Moxie and to keep up to date about the latest developments of your project. So
I would encourage everyone to watch Battle of the Influencers coming up in half an hour or so, and join at club.moxy.io. Join Moxie Club today, be a part of it, and join in on our socials. You can talk directly with me on our Telegram channel. I'm always in there, the Moxie Official. On our Discord channel, there's a whole bunch of ways you can engage directly with the community. We've got a really fun, even in the deepest, darkest depths of the bear market, the Moxie Official Telegram channel was this little bright beacon of hope and light. Everyone was so happy. There was no fun. There was like, we love Moxie. We love this. So great. Then you go to any other channel, it's just like, right?
I want also everybody to appreciate this is a Syzygy t-shirt. Syzygy was the name of Atari before we incorporated. That's what we started with. This shirt comes from 1970.
It's one of two in the world?
Yeah, there's only 2 of them. And I decided to wear it to honor you.
we are honored to have you on with that epic t-shirt. And so that was, again, very helpful. Thanks a lot, Nolan and Matt, for being with us today. And also thanks to our listeners for joining the conversation and being incredibly active and excited about the project. I hope to see you again on our next Cointelegraph show. I'm Giovanni, your host. Stay tuned for the video that is going to play in a few seconds. And see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
really
you.
Nice.